So this is a very important presentation. I would request everybody to have attention on this. Uh, so Sanskrit learning journey, important milestones. Now this is a suggestive process which has been developed by Vyoma team members, Vyoma scholars, based on the experience they have in teaching face-to-face students and online students, and their multi-decade experience of teaching lot of students. And this is a copyright of Vyoma, this process and other things. So please use this information for your own academic learning and academic purpose. How do we learn Sanskritam? The steps that are there to learn Sanskrit. First is the Bhashadhyanam, basic language learning. Second component of Vyoma's learning model is Granthadhyanam, which is the textual learning. And the third component is Shastradhyanam, which is learning of the Shastras. The fourth component is vyoma-samskritam, which is applied Sanskrit studies. Now, if you see this slide, what are the components of this slide? There are four components of the learning model of Sanskrit. First is Bhashadhyanam, where you do the language learning. The second is you get into a text like Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, etc., and do a textual learning. The third is you learn the Shastras, Shastradhyanam. And the fourth step that we suggest is vyoma-samskritam. You use these learnings and apply it and think if you can solve the modern contemporary problems of the modern world through learning of Sanskritam. Now, where are the entry points? Naturally, the first step, Bhashadhyanam, is the entry point. So after Bhashadhyanam, you can go to Vinyoga-samskritam. If you want to study mathematics, if you want to study mathematics through Sanskrit, if you want to study something else, topics like management in Sanskrit, etc., all those things you can do applied Sanskrit studies after doing Bhashadhyanam, so that you will be able to understand why something is like that. But if you want to study more of Sanskritam, you can do Bhashadhyanam, Granthadhyanam, and then go to Vinyoga Sanskritam. Or if you want to do Bhashadhyanam, Granthadhyanam, and then go to Shastradhyanam, and then you can go to Vinyoga Sanskritam. This also can be done. So the entry point can be Bhashadhyanam. The suggestive entry point for people who start with Sanskrit is Bhashadhyanam. Now, for some people, they say, okay, they would have first got an exposure to some talk from a famous professor, say Professor Mahadevan, talking about management aspects in Gita, talking about how Gita can solve, Bhagavad Gita can solve our day-to-day life problems. All those things, when they hear to some discourses, some lectures, then they are first exposed to Vinyoga Samskritam. Then they come back, they think, oh, what is this in our Sanatana Dharma and in our text? So many things are there. Therefore, let me start learning the language. They come this side also. So the entry point is typically a Bhashadhyanam through Sanskrit route. The entry point is through meanings or some text, and that is also an entry point. Sometimes people are exposed to Grantha, that is Ramayana discourse. They hear to Ramayana, Bhagavatam, discourse of some Swamiji, and they are motivated to learn Sanskrit, and they come back to Bhashadhyanam and they start learning Bhashadhyanam. Now the next question will be, can we directly enter the text, sir? Can we directly enter the Shastra, sir? Can I learn Vedanta directly? Can I learn Grantha directly? We don't know the answer. Probably the steps below will indicate the answer. Now, what does Bhashadhyanam constitute of? Bhashadhyanam constitutes of three steps. The first step is you listen, speak, read, and write the language. So for that, Vyoma has developed a lot of tools, which is the level 1 product, the vocabulary product. The vocabulary product, about 1,400 words are there. Then there are courses related to spoken Sanskrit. There are courses related to chanting, Ramayana, Bhagavad Gita, etc., wherein you can listen to the words, you can listen to the chanting, you can sharpen your pronunciation, which is listening, speaking, reading, writing. These are the this is the first step that you have to achieve in a language. The second step that you have to do in Bhasha Adhyanam is there are people taking different exams. So you have the non-formal Sanskrit institutions in this country, where you have Sura Saraswati Sabha, Samskrita Bharati, Samskrita Shri Pathamala, Chittur, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Sanskrit Olympiads. These are some of the forums where you can study Sanskrit, the language in a language way. You can study the language, and there are levels of examination. So four levels. Samskrita Bharati has four levels. Sura Saraswati Sabha Sringeri has got five levels. Samskrita Shri Pathamala has got eight levels. Chittur has got six levels. Bharati Vidya Bhavan has got four levels. Sanskrit Olympiad you have from the sixth standard. In the US, you have something called Sanskrit as a foreign language. SAFL they call it. There you have 3 years of study. So like that, you have different syllabus based examination where there is a particular textbook and you learn the language. There'll be lessons, poems, you will have question answers, you will have synonyms, opposites, you will have a composition, getting to know the language, writing sentences, etc. But the Bhasha Adhyanam is complete only when the basic grammar proficiency is attained. So, for doing well in the syllabus based examination, we should have the basic grammar proficiency. That is the end to end introduction of basic grammar, which is the 16 topics that we have studied in this course. Then we have Shabdas and Dhaturupas, which is also another course that was conducted parallelly by Kiran Bhatt. So, this is another thing that you can refer to. So the top part of the slide refers to the steps that anybody has to follow in the Vyoma learning model. The below boxes are the specific courses and tools available at Vyoma for doing this. So the question will be, sir, for Samskrita Bharati, what do you have? We have the third level and the fourth level exams, preparatory courses. We have about 30-35 classes conducted as a preparatory course for taking the Samskrita Bharati exams. Like that, we had started an e-learning portal for Sura Saraswati Sabha. We had only developed that Sringeri, first three levels examination. Now, since the textbook has changed, we are redoing that in the sense in the form of courses. Samskrita Shri Pathamala, you can know that there is Deepa Rangarajan who started this. Chittur exams, we have plenty of courses for Chittur exams. Bharat Vidya Bhavan, we have the first two levels and the last level. Sanskrit Olympiads, of course, we have some textual content. Basic grammar proficiency, we have the HSDC, this course, and you have the Shabda Dhatu. So Bhasha Adhyanam consists of the objective at the Bhasha Adhyanam level is to understand the language thoroughly and to make sure we construct error-free sentences. That is the objective of Bhasha Adhyanam stage. The next is the Grantha Adhyanam stage, wherein how do you look at the text? The first stage will be active listening, accurate pronunciation, fluent reading, memorizing. Probably this part of the Grantha Adhyanam can be done in parallel with Bhasha Adhyanam because you get familiarity with the Grantha. But the basic meaning and grammatical analysis can be done if it is done after the grammar understanding in Bhasha Adhyanam, then it will be very useful. That is the basic meaning of the text and the grammatical analysis. So we have lot of course like that. Subramanya Bhujangam is a basic meaning of Subramanya Bhujangam course has been done. Bhajagovindam has been done. Chittur courses lot have got lot of texts. Kalidasas, Raghuvamsha, Kumara Sambhava, Champu Ramayanam, Kosh. Then you have for the literary analysis you have Chandas course, you have Koshadhyanam. Lot of courses are there in the Vyoma site, that is sanskritfromhome.in, where you can have lot of courses. So in Grantha there are 5 steps, which is the basic Grantha, what is this, what it is, and how active listening, pronunciation, fluent reading and Parayanam, memorizing, if applicable, basic meaning, grammatical analysis, literary analysis, and then the Tattvartha. So we have a Tattvartha wherein we have discussed the real Tattva of Aditya Hridayam. It is a course conducted by Vyoma brothers, and Ramayanam by Professor Mahadevan. Like this, we have lot of courses which you can refer to. These are only sample list of courses. There are so many courses which you can see. The third is the Shastra Dhenam, and each Shastra, Vyakarana Shastra, Nyaya Shastra, Mimamsa, each Shastra has to be dealt in proper way. So each Shastra has got a specific route. Now, where with respect to Vyakarana Shastra, you have a three-step approach, wherein first you understand the basics of Vyakarana, and there we call it as Pravesha and Prakriya text. So Ashtadhyayi Sutras, memorizing the Ashtadhyayi Sutras, Lagu Siddhanta Kaumudi, Vyakarana Siddhanta Kaumudi, Kashika. These are basic Ashtadhyayi Sutras and Paninian grammar. Uh, Panini's work is Ashtadhyayi. We understand Ashtadhyayi and related text which explain the meaning of Ashtadhyayi Sutras with examples and some analysis. This is Pravesha and Prakriya text. The second level of Vyakarana Shastra means advanced and Prameya texts, where we have analysis of the sutra meaning. Why the sutra meaning has to be like that? Why not like this? All those analysis, advanced texts, which are called as Prameya texts, like Praudha Manorama, Lagu Shabdenu Shekara, Paribhashenu Shekara, Bhushana Sara, Lagu Manjusha, Mahabhashya, etc. are there. And then you have the philosophical level texts of Vyakarana Shastra, which is Vakyapadiyam, Mahabhashyam, etc. So each shastra has to be dealt like in a separate way. So we are not showing you the path for all the shastras, but we just said how to do for Vyakarana Shastra. So the point that we are trying to tell is the Vyoma Bhashadhenam, Grantadhenam, Shastradhenam, Viniyoga Samskritam. These are the four steps. Each of these are the four components. Each of these four components have got specific steps, which is what has been illustrated here. The Viniyoga Samskritam is how to apply this learning to our daily life is something related to Viniyoga Samskritam. This is a term which we have coined. We are telling that, see, learning Sanskritam and teaching is one aspect, but applying that to our life is something. So applying anger management principles. So how to manage your anger based on Bhagavad Gita or based on Ramayana. How to communicate with people based on Bhagavad Gita or Ramayana. How do I learn mathematics through Sanskritam? Whether Samskrita Bhasha will help my mathematical learning, whether it will sharpen my brain, just like an IIT course or an abacus course. So, Leelavati of Bhaskaracharya and Bija Pallava, Bija Ganita, etc. There are so many granthas related to mathematics. There are some granthas related to chemistry. There are some granthas related to Vrikshayurveda, plants, botany. So many areas are there. All that is applied Sanskrit and marrying the ancient concepts, Sanatana concepts, with the current concepts and trying to see whether it is useful to our life. Then Power of Sanskrit lecture series, we have done lot of lectures on Power of Sanskrit. So we have taken different powers of Sanskrit and try to analyze how these are useful in our daily life. So we have analyzed it in different ways. Through an activity we have analyzed it, through research papers we have analyzed it, and this is all available in our YouTube channel, Power of Sanskrit series. So these are the four components of Sanskrit learning model. We have to think where we are and then apply our learning accordingly. And a learning path for a particular student has to be customized personally. This is a general learning path. The time taken for learning, doing this learning, etc., etc. We don't know the time taken. Uh, it depends on the student, how much time he's giving, etc. The last part is how to study Sanskrit grammar, because that is our course. So with the grammar, we already saw this. We have Varnatmaka Karya, Varnatmaka related topics, where we have Varna Vibhaga, Gunitakshara, Sayuktakshara, Maheshwara Sutras and Sandhis. And we have Pada related Karyas, where we have Sarvanama, Namapada, Vibhakti, Kriyapada, adject, Visheshana, Avyayani, Upasarga, Krudanta, Samasa, Stri Pratyaya, Tadita Pratyaya, Sanadi Pratyaya, Ekashesha, Sankhya, we saw Sankhya's also. Then we have Prayogas, Karaka. So the Varnatmaka Karyas, the Padatmaka Karyas, the Vakyatmaka Karyas, the etc. we saw, and these are the topics, 16 to 18 topics that we studied in this course, and this is the overall framework of studying Vyakarana. First, this framework has to be understood. After understanding this framework, what we do is grammar is at each stage. When we do Bhashadhenam, we have to study this, which is this course, which is the high school grammar course. At this stage, we should not ask Paninian level questions to ourselves. And uh, we can ask the question, but the asking the question and getting the answer is not the approach at this level. At this level, getting to know the forms, get how to use it in the language is the first thing that we have to learn in Bhashadhyam. Bhasha first, Vyakaranam next. So Bhashadhyanam, the grammar in the Bhasha is related to sharpening the Bhasha so that our sentences are error free. That is the focus of grammar inside Bhashadhyanam. Next is Grantadhyanam. Now we have these 16 topics. Each of these 16 topics can be dealt in detail with respect to examples from the text. And we can take a text and analyze one shloka with 16 topics. So like that we can do that. Grantadhyanam has to be separate karyashalas and separate vargas, which Vyoma will conduct by God's grace, and all your wishes and blessings. We will be able to conduct that also. The next is the Shastra Dainam, which we already discussed. So grammar, assimilation of grammar is very important. Even for a Vedantic aspirant, basic grammar is important. So for a Vinyoga-samskritam person who says, no, I don't want this Grantha Dainam and Shastra Dainam, sir, but I will see if the learning of Sanskrit is applicable to me in my daily life. So there also he has to know some Sanskrit to understand the basics, which is at least this high school course, and some learning speaking, some skills is something that he may require. Now, these are the things that I wanted to share with everybody.